You're watching Pyro Media Network.
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Conversations with Clergy with me, Dr. Donta Morrison. Whew! Talk about exhaling. So I'm getting back in rotation of just doing these shows and doing these conversations and doing these much needed talks because there's a lot going on and we got to be honest, we are oversaturated with bad news. Oversaturated with political drama, political foolishness, just political. Everything that we are being faced with right now, politically, is nothing nice. And because of that, a lot of us are trying to find ways to just unpack, understand, and to just process just the mayhem that we are experiencing. However, starting right now, it's been hitting home, but it is like hit home. The sugar honey iced tea has hit the fan for me and many of my colleagues who work in the field of sexual health, specifically HIV prevention, education, and linkage to care. So if you have not been watching the news, I don't know why, but President Trump, I'm going to say his name, President Trump has just cut millions of dollars when it comes to HIV services. And the funds that he has cut is really going to impact us majorly. It's going to just impact, it's going to take us back. It's going to take us back, set us back. It's going to start everything over. I mean, just federal funding cuts and massive layoffs within the HIV workspace. And across the country, HIV advocates are just in shock. We're in shock. You ever just been gut punched to the stomach? You know, just gut punch. You looking like I don't even know where to begin. But about $767 million has been cut. People are going to work and their badges are not working. They can't access the building. It's just an utter. It's trash. It's just trash. So I don't know what to say or where to begin, but we're going to have a conversation today. And I invited a close friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, my sister friend, to join me on tonight's conversation. So if you're watching on YouTube, watching on Facebook, I appreciate you. I thank you. I'm going to ask that you just share this conversation, just share this discussion. I'm going to tag some people right now as we just get this going, because this is something that I'm not going to say this is something of mass importance because it is, but I don't want to overshadow all the other BS that's happening, but this is something that must be talked about because a lot of people do not think that it is affecting them or it is their problem because they don't identify as gay. They don't they're not living with HIV. They're still clueless about how HIV is transmitted. So they're like, well, what's the big deal? Tonight, we're going to talk about why this is a huge deal. So without further ado, please welcome to Conversations with Clergy, my dear friend, Bridget P. Koo. You gotta unmute yourself, sis. You gonna come on?
You
There
would
you go.
think that I would know
Listen.
how to use all of this technology. It's been 5 years, and I'm gonna get it together at some point.
We had a
And
whole
all of
brand
you,
interest for you. We had smoke and mirrors and whatnot. You come on and just silence.
we're gonna let my hair and the glasses make up
Right.
for it, and everybody is gonna forgive me, and that's just how it's
But
gonna be.
we get it. It's a lot going on. So, Bridget, you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people while I invite some more folks to this conversation.
So, hello. First of all, hearing you say it, even though I'm tuned into the news, is really such a stark, like, moment. It just stops you in
Mhm.
your tracks. So,
Mhm.
having said that, I am Bridget Piku, aka Nurse Bridget. I am a woman living with HIV. I have been. This is my 13th year, which is wild. I do advocacy work. I write a column in a magazine called Being Bridget, which is about my life living with HIV. I dabble in a lot of areas in HIV because I like to know a little bit about a lot. So research, cure, aging. If I can stick my toe in it, my toe is in it because it's important because my communities
Mhm.
intersect in a lot of different ways. I'm not just a woman, I'm a Black woman. I'm not just a Black woman, I'm a Black woman living with HIV. I'm a Black woman aging with HIV. And so all of those things make all of that important to me. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And it is an
No,
important conversation.
yeah, definitely. And Bridget, I thank you. Hey, let me just say thank you for your transparency, and your willingness to just be a voice. A lot of people still don't think that women are susceptible to HIV. They still think that it's a gay disease. They don't understand that we have to continue these kind of conversations now more than ever, because the monies that were funding these kind of discussions, that was pushing forward progress, are gone, and that is the
Right.
stark reality that we're living in right now. Gone. There's no money there. So being a black woman living with HIV, and already understanding that conversations about HIV amongst black women are few and far between, and the marketing, the strategies, all that kind of, you've been to the major conferences, and you know that it's slim pickings for women of color, to have
Mhm.
this kind of dialogue. So as a woman living with HIV, how is this impacting you?
I am not a woman who scares easily, right? I think that being diagnosed with HIV made me face my mortality in ways that a lot of people, haven't, even though at the time I got my diagnosis, it wasn't a death sentence, right? But it still makes you evaluate and look at your life.
Mm-hmm.
And silence is going to kill us.
Mm-hmm.
Silence has been killing us. And it is only going to get worse with all of the cuts and all of the efforts to erase everything that we are. I think what you were saying is really, really critical because I don't think people understand that this is not just about being gay. It's not just about living with HIV, and it's not just about being Black. It is all of the ways in which those things touch and how they ripple out to our communities. And I'm very much a person that has been in the FAFO club. I'm not gonna cuss on your show. I'm gonna try not to. But I also need for folks to recognize that there's only so far that we can go with that. Like we want folks to learn a lesson about patriarchy and about white supremacy and about the fact that what impacts one impacts everybody. But at some point, we're going to have to figure out ways to work together and come together because they come up for all of us. And I don't think people understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the part that I am frustrated by, but at the same time, I do have empathy. People don't know which direction to go right now. I did a talk earlier today actually about intersectionality, and when we are faced with so many different things, and I don't think that people of color, we're not taught intersectionality in a way that would help us to understand the traumas that just being our whole selves can be. So for me, I'm Black, I'm gay, I'm living with HIV. That's 3 roads I have to travel down. So when we think about this current administration, my Blackness is under attack, my sexuality is under attack, and my HIV status is under attack. So I ask people, how many rallies do you think that I can physically do without collapsing? Like, I can do the HIV funding march on today, then tonight run across town and boycott against all this anti-LGBTQ stuff, and then wake up in the morning and go do the We Need DEI march as a Black person. And I don't think people understand that your mind will explode and you will never find rest. So we think about what are your intersections that you exist at?
So the first 3 that being Black, being a woman, living with HIV, the attacks on the womanhood and autonomy of being able to make decisions about my body sexually and reproductively, right? And then being a Black woman, we always stand up for the community, right? So I have to be the community voice as an advocate for women who cannot, for whatever reason it is, speak for themselves, trying to be that voice without only representing my own interests. Women are not a monolith, right? It goes on and on and on. And absolutely, you are correct. Like, can I pick a struggle? And preferably one struggle at a time, so that I can also maintain my household, raise my grandchild, go to work every day, eat, drink water, hydrate. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on.
Right.
And right now, every time I turn on the news or turn on social media or turn on the radio, I'm being bombarded by this foolishness, right? Because I think for you and I, and folks like us, it's an interesting space to be in, because not only are we dealing with the foolishness of just this administration in general, but viscerally and on a level that other people can't understand, we are dealing with our livelihood, and I'm I don't know what we're gonna do, because it's hard not to be overwhelmed with stress and anxiety, and kick into, okay, now what are we gonna do mode. I'm tired, and I know you are too.
I'm tired. More so tired because, well, both of us have been working tirelessly in the fight against HIV. I started in 2000 when I started doing public speaking about HIV, living with HIV, getting people to get some more knowledge and awareness. And I've been going hard for the past 25 years. Let's just put it that way. And when within those 25 years, I've seen major advancements. I've seen a lot of just information. I've seen just stuff that's happening, like PrEP and PEP, and all the biomedical stuff. And now, even as a part of the HIV Vaccine Trials Network, as a faith ambassador, I'm working on the vaccine side. So I'm on the scientific side, to be like, oh my God, all this advancements in medications and what's coming down the pipeline. And what's gagging me is that in 2019, President Trump, his first go round, created the ending the HIV epidemic, this whole thing, and said by 2025, we will have this huge decrease in new HIV infections because he was going to provide all this funding. And then he said, I think it was by 2030, they were just going to be like, just HIV just basically gone. That was his promise. That was his stance. That was just his way of saying, I got y'all, and now here we are in 2025, and he is eradicating all the money. Talk about a contradiction. It was like, dude, okay, I didn't like you from the gate, but when you said that in 2019, I said, okay, all right, cool. He still got some kind of humanity in him. But then here we are in 2025, his second go round. I don't know if are you mad because you lost the last time? So you said I'm gonna just take back everything that what is your motive? And none of this is rooted in any kind of strategy. It's emotional tantrums. I'm gonna take. But while you're taking, you're setting us up to revisit like warp speed back to the 80s, back to the 90s. And they're doing this as a way to say we're gonna save money because money is being used wastefully on this research and all that. But what do you think is gonna happen when the rates of new infections skyrocket and people need care and medication? So
We should have known because he was
yeah.
running his mouth. We should have known. He was talking. So, like, we should have known better.
Right.
But to your point about new acquisitions going up and costs, I was reading something on, what do they call it? Public Health Wire. And they were saying that lifetime costs for HIV care are over and above $500,000.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
You're firing people and taking away their livelihoods just indiscriminately with the little hacksaw or whatever it was that homeboy had up on stage like an idiot. You're running through all of this. So not only are you decimating the agencies that we need to be able to rely on for care, for research, to get the medications that we need. But then you're also putting people in a position to make them more vulnerable to acquiring HIV. Right? No job means I got more time to sit around and do nothing with my life. Possibly put myself into positions that I might not normally be in were I employed, and providing for my family. Right? I don't use the word at risk. It annoys me, but you're allowing folks to step into vulnerable positions that they might not normally be.
Right.
And doing it indiscriminately. Like, and I can't even say like you don't care because we know he doesn't care. Right. I genuinely, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You've known me for a long time. That's not my get down. I like things rooted in solid and science, but I cannot help but feel like this really is about the haves and have nots. And since he's not Black or gay or living with HIV, what does he care about us? Never mind the fact that we're all Americans and all humans, right? It's supposed to be make America great again. Where?
And I think because the stigma around HIV, unfortunately, is still that it's a gay disease. And we already know that to be gay is anti-American in the minds of, this current administration, that if they target us, maybe then we'll just die out. Maybe we'll just die of AIDS. Take away the money for the research, take away the money for prevention, take away the money for any kind of access to care. Maybe they'll just die. They'll just drop dead. But my thing is when we look at the data and look at the statistics for HIV rates in America, it is hard to believe that all of Congress, all of Senate, all the state, that none of them are living with HIV. Not one of y'all have HIV. Not one of y'all fall within the risk category. So why is there this silence about half of the stuff that he is doing? And I get if you are a part of a political party that you want to rah-rah and go ham for your political party. But like we've been hearing for the last 2 weeks, this is not about left or right. It's about right and wrong. Right and wrong. This right here is 100% wrong. I don't see any validation for it. And not only are you taking away money, for HIV research, education, prevention, the unemployment rate just went up. You're firing thousands of people that
at the same time.
Where are they going to go to work? Because many of them have been working in this field for decades. This is all they know. So where are they going to go? And if you've been working in this field for decades, more than likely you make a cute coin. So now to uphold my standard of living, I cannot go take any old job. I can't do that. So the job market is now about to be super competitive because people who work at CDC, NIH, and all that, they have degrees. These are degreed and qualified individuals. These are not starter agencies where you just walk in. No, you have to be vetted. You got to be of a certain caliber of intellect and knowledge to land a position at those spaces. Where are they now supposed to go? Where do they go? So I think it's so many layers to this. So people are saying, well, I'm not concerned about HIV. Are you concerned about the unemployment rate? Are you concerned about the fact that that job you thought you were a shoo-in for, the person who has that degree is about to trump you, no pun intended, and take that position? Are you aware of that? And now that we're in this space where it becomes of you're going to get hired based upon who you know, because people finna call in some favors. I need a job and you owe me one. What you gonna do? You know, and they may not be the best.
So there goes the this is supposed to be about getting rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And getting rid of the unfair advantage. But it's just going to turn into a different type of unfair advantage, one that leans in favor of the patriarchy. But this whole idea of merit really comes into question when you start thinking about the very thing that you're talking about, right? The level, the sheer amount of people that are going to be looking for work or living off of the government, which, we're eliminating waste, right? You're creating more waste by putting people in positions that normally would not have gone or had to have gone to public services in order to feed their families and keep a roof over their head.
Right.
And the sheer, there's no other word for it other than stupidity of there's no planning in it. How could you have a whole, how many pages is the Project 2025?
Wait a minute, that doesn't exist.
Okay, the thing that the book that must not be named. You didn't prepare anything in all of those pages for a humane and organized way in which to do this.
That's propaganda, Bridget. Don't do that don't get my show canceled. That's propaganda.
I'm sorry.
That's propaganda.
That's what
it's propaganda. And Spencer hit the nail on the head. Spencer said folks just don't get it. And Spencer, like we said at the top of the show, people don't know what to get nowadays. There's so much stuff happening where people of color are being targeted. And when I say of color, that means Blacks, Latinos. We ain't even got to the Asian Pacific Islanders yet. It ain't their turn yet, I guess. But
it's coming.
It's coming. But the Latinos, trust, it's a lot. Blacks, it's a lot. The Asian Pacific Islanders, just buckle up because they coming for y'all next. And I think people do get it, but they don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. So Bridget, that is my ask. Spencer, that's the ask. Mashad, if you're still here, if anybody else is watching, that is the ask. What are we to do? So think about that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to give some tips and strategies on what can we do now? What can we do now? We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, it's Nicole D. Vick from Nicole D. Vick Live, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
Are you ready for enlightening conversations that transcend boundaries? Get ready for Conversations with Clergy, brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. In partnership with the world's largest publicly funded international collaboration, the HVTN is dedicated to evaluating vaccines to prevent HIV and COVID-19. But their impact doesn't stop there. The HVTN is at the forefront of advancing vaccinology, social and behavioral sciences, statistics, immunology, and even contributing to the research on tuberculosis and COVID-19 vaccines. By supporting Conversations with Clergy, the HVTN not only brings you thought-provoking discussions, but also contributes to the global effort to combat infectious diseases. Tune in, stay informed, and be a part of the change. Conversations with Clergy, supported by the HVTN, empowering conversations, empowering lives. Join us in this journey of knowledge, understanding, and progress. Conversations with Clergy proudly brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network, because together we can make a difference.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
All right, so we're back for the final segment of Conversations with Clergy, and when my dear friend Bridget B. Cool. Fun fact: me and Bridget have known each other since the 7th grade.
Wild. We are both too young to be this old.
Right. We have been friends since the 7th grade. Curtis Junior High School, not middle school, Curtis Junior High School in the city of Carson. So we go back. Listen. So Anthony Brown just chimed in and says, since the stock market crashing, something is about to happen. When their pockets are affected, things change fast. And that's good, Anthony. But here's my thing. Why are we always so reactive instead of proactive? They did not think that all the stuff that dude in office was doing was going to cause a stock market crash. They did not think that the tariffs and all that was going to mess up, the American way of living. They did not think that. So now that they see it's happening, now they want to scramble and run and we hope, scramble and run and do something to prayerfully get him out of office. But why are we so reactive in this season? Why are we not proactive? Why are we not shutting stuff down at the gate? When he signs it, why are we not pouring gas on and lighting it on fire and saying, man, that's stupid. Shut up. Try something else. Why are we not doing that? Because here we are now with no funding for certain components of HIV education, prevention, and research. HIV research is so important. People are probably saying, well, they should have found a cure a long time ago. Well, they didn't. Okay? They didn't. So
it's not that simple.
Yeah, just lying through that.
It's a whole conversation.
Well, they found stuff for COVID really quick because COVID wasn't new. COVID was already here.
Not just that, but they used technology that came from HIV research in order to come up with the COVID vaccine. That's a whole other huge conversation. There are very specific reasons why HIV is so hard to find a cure for. But nonetheless, but you're right. Continue, because
So here we are. So let me ask this question. So Bridget, as advocates and educators and people that understand the importance of treatment and linkage to care and all that, is it now our task to educate the community? Is it now our task to get out there and try to wrangle in the folks that wouldn't be wrangled in before we lost funding? What do we do?
I'm gonna have to do you one better, because we've been doing that. It's time for the community to step up and allow themselves to be educated, and not only allow themselves to be educated, but to get involved in impactful ways. I was joking earlier when I said, can I pick a struggle? Can I just pick a struggle? But folks are really going to have to figure out, for lack of a better way to put it, to pick a struggle. People are going to have to pick something, one or two issues that is going on that are important to them and that impact them in a way that makes them want to get up and do something, and get off your butt and go and do something. As a woman living with HIV, I can tell you over and over again that it's not a gay disease, that it impacts humans, it impacts people, period.
Wait, you're not a gay man?
Girl, listen. Listen. It really is people are going to have to recognize and nobody wants to see their own vulnerability. Nobody wants to think of themselves as, it's like bullying, right? I bully you about being HIV positive, because I feel like it's never going to happen to me and it gives me a sense of superiority. Well, here's a
Mhm.
news flash. It can't happen to you. I was 40 when I was diagnosed. Who, how, Sway? Like, and so I should be living proof that it can happen to anybody. And
Mhm.
so people really are going to have to figure out what matters to them and step up. Most of the people that do work in HIV, in research, in care and prevention, and treatment, in linkage to care, do so either because they know someone who is impacted by HIV, they heard a story about someone who was impacted by HIV, and it resonated. And I
Mhm.
guarantee you, if people open up their eyes and start listening, something is going to resonate. And then you just got to do something. And if you don't want to do something, don't contribute to being part of the problem. Right? Don't
Yes.
just say, like, a lot of people have this attitude, well, it's just the Latin folks, it's just the Hispanic folks, it's just the Mexicans, it's not us. It is. They're demonizing them the way that they've demonized Black people for a millennia. And when they're done doing that, they will either move on to redoubling their efforts against us, and the LGBTQ community, or they'll move on to, as you were saying, our Pacific Islander brothers and sisters, Asia. It's never going to end until we start standing up for each other. And so that's the two main things that number one is we got to start standing up for each other. And number two is pick a struggle and do something. Figure it out. Help somebody.
Pick a struggle and do something. And I'm glad you said that because I was in my office right here on Tuesday, literally just watching Cory Booker just stand for 25 plus hours. I woke up at 9 o'clock in the morning, was like, yo, he's still, and I turned the TV on and I kept it on until we finished, just so we can have the views. I'm sitting here working, looking up like, dude, Cory is still standing. What crushed me was after he finished and all that, then of course you get the keyboard critics. Well, he did this. Well, he did that. Well, he ain't really for us. Well, I'm like, wow. And it's always us. It's always us. It's always us.
Mhm.
I could not have stood for 30 minutes, let alone 25 hours. I couldn't have been composed all that time either. You would have got a few curse words because he was putting it out there about the atrocities that we are facing. I would have used some very colorful language because by hour 16, 17, when y'all going to eat lunch, you going to the bathroom and I can't go pee, yeah, I got something to say.
I'm in
And
menopause
I
right
think,
now. I
yeah,
got to pee every 5 minutes.
listen,
Respect that brother for what he did.
listen. And I think that I love how you said that. Do something. Do something. And conversations like this, albeit reactive, I've tried to have proactive conversations about HIV and sexual health and all that, and people just rolled their chair around and walked away, didn't log in, didn't tune in. And I'm like, yo, you're not exempt. But now that money has been cut from things such as PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, that is that pill that you guys see at BET at 10 o'clock at night saying prep up, step up, Truvada, and all that can prevent HIV by up to 98%. Guess what? Access to that is going to be limited. It's going to be limited. So biomedical prevention, all that is about to be so few and far between. The folks are going to sell it on the streets, like getting Oxy. You got some prep? You got some prep? That type of thing. We're going back to the days of you better put a condom on. Because once you catch HIV, guess what? We're now overcrowded in the clinics. So for you to get your appointment, it's going to take 2 to 3 months. And now you ain't got no job because the unemployment rate has skyrocketed because he done laid everybody off. So now you out on the streets trying to get Medicare, Medicaid. Oh, wait a minute. They cut the funding for that. So you're not finna get your medications. Guess what's going to happen? Your body's going to get sicker and sicker and sicker. And no, you didn't die from AIDS per se. You died from AIDS-related complications.
You're trying to take these people to church, and
so
I'm going to need you to slow down because
listen, it is a trickle down effect. So you're looking at what happened today. This is a trickle down effect, and you're sitting there saying, "Oh, that will never happen to me." Okay, let's say it doesn't, but let's say it happens to your child that does not get comprehensive sexual education in their schools. Because the schools can't talk about sexual health. So your child is out there smashing left and right, but has no idea how to put a condom on. Has no idea anything about birth control. They don't know. So they're having sex. They're catching syphilis, chlamydia, HIV, and herpes all at the same time. And you're sitting back saying, not my baby, not my baby, not my, what am I going to do? We can't help you.
Not
Ain't no way
knowing,
to help.
because the education is so woeful and ignorant, not knowing that having the trifecta, as we call them, all
Mhm.
three of those other STIs, makes you more vulnerable to acquiring HIV, right? Because we don't have a comprehensive sexual education, not knowing that there are ways to reduce harm and reduce your vulnerability to acquiring HIV by things like using lube and having a different type of sex than maybe you might normally have, and asking questions of your partner and being aware, right? All of these things. And they're all going by the wayside because we already had a woeful, horrible sexual health
Mhm.
program, if you even want to call it that, to begin with. And now there's even less of that.
Right.
So people don't know, trickle down is going to trickle right to your front door.
It's going to
Period.
trickle down. I love what Tasha just said. The last part she said was, I agree that people need to take ownership and accountability for educating themselves on issues that impact us. Thank you, Tasha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, Anthony, I heard a statistic that the heterosexual community is now at a higher risk to get HIV, so this can cause a major epidemic. You know, I'm not sure on the stats of that, but I do know that heterosexual community is at risk for new HIV infections. It is not
I'm
exclusive
going
to a certain
backwards.
population. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not sure in comparison to, but yes, there's definitely a risk. But what Tasha said is so important. Take ownership and accountability for educating themselves. I used to always tell people when I would do my talks about sexual health and HIV and whatever, and people like, oh my God, how do you know all that you know? Google. I'm like, you guys are paying me a lot of money to tell you what you can Google. I'm going to take it. Thank you. I need the money. However, nothing I'm telling you is top secret. Nothing I'm telling you is in some private vault somewhere that only me and a select few have access to. Everything that I know, everything that I've learned, everything that I'm sharing with you is Googleable and you can access it. Sit your kids in front of that computer and have them Google some information and some knowledge instead of being on social media. Monitor your children's learning because right now, Black kids, when it comes to Black history, if their mama and daddy don't know about Black history, guess what? The kids ain't gonna know Black history. If the mama and daddy can care less that the whole Black Lives Matter monument was just eradicated in DC, that Black monuments are being destroyed, that they want to take down this African American museum, that they want to do all of that. If the parents don't care, guess what? The kids are gonna be like, my mama said that wasn't no big deal. It's whatever. It's whatever. And we're letting them
And we're
win.
right back to being reactive rather than proactive. Takes 2
Exactly.
seconds. Like you saying Google, but it's Google, it's Bing, it's Yahoo, it's AI now. I do want to add there's discernment that needs to go on top of that, right? Like, because some people will Google some stuff, click on it, and not pay attention to the fact that the link is from 1992 and not 2023, 2022, right? 2025.
Right.
Like, when we, if you're looking stuff up, make sure that it's accurate information. But it just
Please do.
it's a sad and sorry thing. And I don't know where our passion went. I don't know where, because we still have plenty of pride. There's still plenty of pride. Black people still have plenty of pride. We always have that. But somewhere along the line, we've lost the passion for our communities and holding our communities, not only holding our communities together, but holding our communities accountable. And some of that needs to come into this whole overarching conversation too, because not one of us can do this by ourselves,
Right.
and we need allies and we need support, and we need to be able to find the information that we need and disseminate the information that we need. And that's part of it, right? Is there are still people that don't think that HIV is a thing.
Right.
There are still people that don't think that, people think, oh, all you do is take one pill once a day. That's lovely. But there's a whole process that you have to go through between diagnosis and coming to an understanding in a settled place with that one pill once a day, or doing the long acting injectable, right? Which is a whole other thing. Because now, yeah, there are all these wonderful advancements, but we're going to be like some of our lower income country brethrens taking 3 pills or 4 pills because we don't have access and can't afford the one pill once a day. So it's bigger than people think, and people really need to understand that.
Thank you for that, Brad. That was a great benediction, honestly. And I love that you brought up the South, because you and I are West Coast. We're California. We're Los Angeles, Palm Springs. Our level of privilege when it comes to care and access to care is up here. You go down south to the red states, and it's down here. So
Education is down there too.
that's a whole other conversation between down south HIV and West Coast HIV. So listen, we got 3 minutes left. So Bridget, let the people know how they can reach out to you. There may be some women out there either living with HIV or concerned about contracting HIV. How can they reach out to you as an ally and an advocate?
So I work for a wonderful organization called the Well Project. We focus on women and girls living with and vulnerable to HIV. We have a plethora of information available on our website. You can find me there. I'm the stakeholder liaison for the Well Project, so you can just look me up there. On social media, I'm my name, Bridget Piku, on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all of them. The only one I really use, though, if I'm being 100% honest, is Instagram, and now starting to use Bluesky, because that whole part of that conversation I will go into. It is at So Said Red, SOSAIDRED, at So Said Red. Please reach out to me, even if you just have. There's no question that is a dumb question. Promise you, someone else has thought it and or asked it before. I would rather you ask me and know than keep it to yourself and end up in a vulnerable space.
I love it. I love it. And like I said, Bridget is my long-term friend from junior high school, and now to just see that Bridget speaks on national platforms about women's health. It's great to know her. I encourage everyone to follow her, like she said, on Instagram. So Said Red, SOSAIDRED. So Said Red. That's her natural hair color, y'all. Don't sleep on it. So just make sure to follow my girl Bridget, and then also follow me. And then if you don't know, I just released my latest book, Faithful and Forgotten. It is available on Amazon.com. Yeah, I know Amazon. I'm gonna tell y'all why Amazon, because listen, what y'all don't realize, Amazon really is a platform for a lot of small business owners. All right. So although Jeff Bezos is trash, Amazon does give us a place to sell our stuff globally and to make money. So check out my book, Faithful and Forgotten, available now. It is on hard copy, paperback, and ebook, but then the audio version is coming in May. It is being read right now, and it's being read in a phenomenal voice. Oh my God, this dude's voice is amazing. But it's going to be an audio book within the next few weeks. So just please support your boy. Follow me. I'm also on TikTok now until Saturday, I think. Is TikTok leaving on Saturday? I don't know. But I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. So check me out. Thank you for tuning in on tonight. Next week, I have another amazing guest, J. Christopher Watson from New Orleans. And he's going to come with all his accent and all of his advice on how we can move the needle forward from a political space. All right, he's a political activist. But that conversation is going to be amazing. So have a blessed remainder of your night. Get some rest, and we'll talk when we talk. All right, take care, everybody. Good night.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.